In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to be talking about some just absolute dog turdery of Chicago sports, left, right, and center. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You can see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. So make sure you head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Oh, Alex, outside of sports, how are you doing, my friend?
Really, really well. And when you said outside of sports, that's what I mean by really, really well. So just so we have that clear here. The weather got nicer after being really, really hot. I was off today and I was able to ride and do a little hiking today. So that was really enjoyable. And I have a really fun game to have on in the background during this recording. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. I would be very interested to see if a team can come back from an 0-3 deficit to win a Stanley Cup. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, I have a friend who is a diehard Oilers fan up in Canada. And so I have no vested interest. So for his sake, I'm going to be rooting for him. Also, I have a friend who I half joking, half serious say that he has like 12 favorite teams because it's just like, oh, he's like, well, I grew up, I was a Red Wings fan, even though I grew up in New York, but I was also an Islanders fan. But then I moved to Florida and then became a Panthers fan. And he just, any way he touches a team, somehow they're his favorite team. So I told him I'm not rooting for your 12th favorite team in this series. I'm rooting for the Oilers.
Hey, that's fair. You were honest about it.
He gets super mad. He's like, I don't have 12 favorite teams. And I was like, well, if you have more than one, you have too many.
Well, we have too many favorite teams and they all suck.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Should we just dive into stupid Cubs?
I guess.
God, I hate this team so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we're going to get Shota against the Mets. Like, all right, feel good. And then the one fear that we had about Shota going into the season was he gave up too many fly balls, and at Wrigley Field, if the wind's blown out a little bit, those are going to be home runs. And boy, doggy, did we have one of them days.
Yeah, Friday's game. I'm glad I was working and not watching, but I remember continually checking the score. Oh, it's 3-0. Oh, it's 5-0. Oh, it's 7-0. Oh, it's like 9-0. Oh, it's 10-1 or 10-0, whatever it was. And holy shnikes, they were ready for the fastball. The fastball wasn't as crisp, it wasn't moving, it wasn't as fast, and they were just lighting it up. And I mean, it was one of those games where you're like, well, as awful as that was, it's not really par for the course because the starting pitching's been what's kept us afloat, barely afloat, if you want to even call it that, in this season so far. So I was like, well, usually it's the bullpen and the offense blowing it. Today it's just the starting pitching. And, like we said, fly ball pitcher, hot day, wind blowing out at Wrigley, a red hot Mets team. Yeah, there was going to be some issue. And then, can I just dive into last night, the Sandberg thing?
Go for it.
I was there with my dad. We had amazing seats and the weather was perfect. It wasn't hot at all. It wasn't cold at all. It wasn't windy. It wasn't cloudy or rainy. It was a bright sunset night, as comfortable as it could be. The Ryan Sandberg statue looks really, really cool. And when you were in the ballpark that night, it felt more like a big game, semi postseason type atmosphere. The crowd was really, really jacked, really jacked. When Ryan Sandberg threw out the first pitch, everyone went crazy. You know, they showed him on the video board several times, him and his family sang the stretch. And the crowd was just trying to will this team the entire time. The entire time. Even when like Pete Crow Armstrong would get to a 3-2 count and he was a ball away from getting on base and probably stealing 2 bases. When Cody Bellinger came on with 2 men on and he had a 12 pitch at bat. But just like this season, all the excitement, all the hope, all the willingness, that the fans give towards the team ended with just a thud. Just a quiet thud. And you lose 5-2 on Ryan Sandberg night. You struck out 14 frickin' times. And I was sitting close enough seeing the kind of stuff that Luis Severino was throwing and any other Mets pitcher, except for Edwin Diaz. He got ejected because he had sticky fingers.
And suspended.
Yeah, well, that's the rule. If you get ejected for that, you get suspended 10 games. So you can lie all you want, but looks like that was some sticky stuff. But they weren't even close to hitting. They were overmatched by everything. They didn't know it was coming. They were watching hittable pitches go by. They were swinging and missing at the high fastball constantly. And when I say swinging and missing at high fastball, the ball was in the mitt by the time the bat was even going through the zone. I mean, they looked helpless last night. Utterly helpless. No life whatsoever. This team is boring. They are boring. They are mediocre. There is so little excitement. The most excitement of this team is when Shota pitches well and when Pico Armstrong does something in the field or on the bases. He's electric on the bases. He's electric in the outfield. He was amazing last night with the glove. Other than that, this team is as bland as baby food.
Can I give you a stat?
No, but sure.
So on the season, the Cubs have a 0.148 ISO with runners in scoring position. That puts them 18th in baseball.
That high?
Wait, you're like, okay, well, that's not terrible. That doesn't jibe with what I'm seeing, though, right? So if you look at the ISO after April 27th, when they were 8 games over 500 and looking like a strong team, their ISO with runners in scoring position is 0.108, last in baseball.
Wow. Not surprising. I mean, they finally looked like they had some sort of rally going, and just 3 pathetic. Well, okay, Cody Bellinger had a 12 pitch at bat, but the strikeout pitch, he looked very feeble on that swing, and you couldn't even move the runners over. And the funny thing is that Saturday's game was probably the best game they've played in over a month when they won 8-1. You hit early. You hit with runners in scoring position. Tyone looked great. The bullpen didn't give up anything. They didn't make any stupid mistakes in the field. Everything looked great. But that was probably too much to ask to do 2 games in a row, because frankly, when they did win a series against the Giants, you almost blew that clinching game too. You were up 6-1 in the 8th, and next thing you knew, you had the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position in the 9th inning. You barely squeaked by, which is the theme for so many of these games. You either blow it late or you barely squeak by. That 8-1 victory was like their biggest margin of victory since the Rocky series. This team is bad, and they're boring. And I know they're still in this race. And you're one hot streak away from taking something. But do you feel confident right now that they're going to get hot?
Everybody gets hot, but are they going to get hot that's going to be meaningful? No.
Right.
No. Will they go on some sort of streak? Yeah, they're just the laws of baseball.
Well, you
But
know what's going to happen, right? It's going to happen late when they call up some prospects, and it's going to be just enough to be like, "Oh yeah, we're on the right track. Oh, let's give Hoyer a 3-year extension and run it all back." That's what I'm afraid of.
I, yeah, this team was poorly constructed. Jed, I mean, players have to be better.
Right. That's
Nope.
part of the, it's not all on him. That's part of the equation.
Yeah, you can't blame it all on Jed, but boy, are his fingerprints all over this team.
You made it pretty clear that you weren't interested in having a superstar. Wasn't it Jesse Rogers who, like, kind of openly to his face criticized him for that? And Jed Hoyer's like, well, the Rays and the Guardians, they always win. Hey, Jed, those are always the runner-ups in the postseason. And this organization just loves to look at teams like the Diamondbacks. Good for the Diamondbacks. They won the pennant. Who won the World Series? The Rangers. What did the Rangers do? They grew their talent and they spent money.
They spent a lot of money.
Spent a lot of money on Corey Seager, who is a superstar. Marcus Semien, who is a superstar. They got Aldolis Garcia, who is a postseason superstar. You got Max Scherzer on your team, an all-time great. Well, but the Rays... Hey, how many titles do the Rays have, Jed? How many titles have the Cleveland Guardians / Indians won over the last 60 years, Jed?
Yeah, Jed. Damn you.
Jed.
Stupid Jed.
You know what pisses me off so much? Look at the division. Okay, the Brewers are the class of it, obviously, but nobody else is really right, at least not right now, going crazy. And it's kind of the NL as a whole, right? You only have like 5 teams above 500. So why not go all out and take advantage of that? Why not take advantage of a league being overly down where you have a shot to be a top 3 or 4 team? But no, you have to be like the Rays, like the Guardians, like the Diamondbacks last year. Give me a fucking break. We went to the game. We walked through Wrigleyville, all those packed bars and restaurants, all the money to spend to park the car, Gallagher Way with all this nice shit, but we're paying for that. We're paying big money for that. We're paying big money to watch the games in person and at home with your sports network. You're in a big market, a national fan base, and you're talking about being the Rays. Piss off.
I love it. I love it. I love angry. I don't like when Alex is angry, but I love when he's angry. I'm just numb at this point. Like I turned on the game late on Friday, and I was going to try to catch the replay and watch from the beginning. And I went, "Oh, they're getting smoked. Yeah, I'm not watching this.
No, not worth it.
Not worth this. It's so dumb. I just can't. I can't deal. And the thing is they didn't. They're not all terrible things. Like, the Shota signing was a good signing, and a lot of these young pitchers are looking good.
The Michael Busch trade was a good trade.
The Michael Busch trade was a very good trade.
Justin Steele has looked like himself. Knock on wood, he's starting tonight. So if he gets drilled, blame me.
Assad, all right, he's a little bit of a rough patch. Some of it his pitching, some of it bad luck, but overall,
it's kind of evening out a little bit with him. I think he's a solid dude, but he wasn't like 2.4 ERA good.
Yeah, but he is a pretty good middle of the order, or middle of the rotation, back end of the rotation pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, if he's my 5-starter swingman or a long reliever, yeah, fine. Like, I'm not condemning him as much as like Cubs fans on Twitter were last night, but there was a reality that he was going to regress a little bit, but overall it's been a nice asset to have. Um, Now I have to give her credit as due really quick.
Okay.
The last two appearances for Kyle Hendricks have looked really damn good.
They
And I didn't
really have,
expect that.
and I'm still not ready to uh anoint him as back because
Yeah.
there's been just some brutal moments, but he's looked a whole lot better.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, and like you look at the lineup, Cody Bellinger's numbers are fine. They're not bad. They're not spectacular. They're fine. Like you look at the slash line and the OPS, you're like, all right, that's pretty good. It's not amazing, not bad. Seiya Suzuki, he's an interesting one because overall, I'd say he's been good. Maybe a little disappointing at times. He's very, very streaky. He has a nice streak of games where he's getting 2, 3 hits a game. And then there's games like last night where he just stands there and just doesn't like he goes up there and he has no intentions of swinging the bat. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Ian Happ, his numbers might not look amazing, but honestly, one of the few clutch hitters has been Ian Happ. Like it's been him getting the big hits. Now, here are the two that I think we need to raise our eyebrows a little bit at. And you probably know the two I'm talking about.
Yep.
They happen to play right up the middle of the infield.
Yep.
And one of those guys is getting paid a lot of money.
The other guy's not getting paid little money.
No, he's not. But one happens to be making the most money on the team.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I think that Nico's not 100%, obviously, which hurts. And I do wonder if Dansby Swanson is still feeling some sort of ailment in his legs. I don't know. But those two are supposed to be two of your anchors. And them not performing to par this year has really hurt the team. It just has.
Yeah, I mean you need superstars that are to be superstars. Period.
There is a problem though with that. They don't really have a superstar. They have all-stars, but some all-stars, but not a superstar.
Fair, but they're paying somebody to be a superstar.
Correct. You're getting the bag to play like a top player in MLB, even if you're not Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, whatever. But you're right. They're getting paid star money, and that's you look at Jed at roster construction and philosophy, but you also look at the money the guys are making that aren't performing. Jed entrusted them to play to their potential, and they haven't. And that's on the player. That is completely and utterly on the player. Frankly, I don't think it's appropriate to put the blame in one place. And because I feel like sports fans have this need to be like, oh, it's all his fault. Oh, it's his fault. It's like, well, it's kind of a collective effort here. And contrary to popular belief, I'm going to ask this question. What do the Ricketts think? Because there are people that are convinced they don't care at all about winning.
I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I don't believe that even a little bit, but they want to win within certain parameters.
Exactly.
Jerry's the same way, except I don't think Jerry wants to. Jerry's priorities are much different. The Ricketts' priorities there is to make money and to win, but it has to be they have to win only spending to a certain point.
You have to win within the ROIs, basically.
Yes.
which is stupid because the more you win, the more investment and return you're going to get. And I get it. Rosters get expensive. The luxury tax gets expensive. The Cubs pay high in taxes. It's the issue I don't always have with the Cubs philosophy. It's not necessarily how much you spend, it's how you're spending it. And they've talked about intelligent spending. And yes, you're going to swing and miss on some signings. It's going to happen everywhere. But you should know that going into last year, you should know that you shouldn't be putting Eric Hosmer into big spots. And you go into this year and you're constantly, you know, tapping yourself on the back for having this vast farm system. And yet, whenever there's a roster maneuver, it's still the David Bodie's and Miles Mastrobonis and that stuff. And the Patrick Wisdoms. And it's after a while, like, are we going to utilize this system or not? Canario is hitting home runs almost every day down in AAA. I don't. I've been more of a Patrick Wisdom supporter than most people, but I do think we're at the point where if you need a power bat and you want to switch something out, I almost rather see Canario get a shot. Actually, not almost. I do rather see Canario get a shot at this point.
I've been saying it for a long time, for several years now. I like Patrick Wisdom. I like him probably more than you do, but time and place. Like for a while, yeah, I'm all for him because even though he's big holes in his swing, he's a big power guy, and he adds pop to the bat when you're a bad team in the rebuild process. And then as you get better, you need to bring back from him. He should be a utility player. He should be a bat off the bench, not a regular contributor. And I'm with you. Canario, it's shit or get off the pot with him. You know, Wisdom is not the long-term answer. But Canario might be. Maybe not. You need to figure that out though. So why aren't you putting him in that lineup?
Yeah, and I mean, remember when they called up Luis Vasquez and he barely played? And yet you're still doing the Miles Mastroboni thing. And I'm sure Miles Mastroboni's a nice fella, puts up good numbers in AAA, but he's a 4A player. Just enough already. If you're going to try to right the ship, then use some of this farm system you love to stroke yourself over. Just enough with the 4A crap.
I agree with you. And, this is a year where it's kind of over. I mean, could you make the wild card? Maybe. Possibly. I mean, it's bad. Eventually somebody's going to run away with it, but I would not sink money into a major trade. I think it's a bad time to do it because you need to have some soul searching how this team is currently constructed, and to add a rental player to a team that you don't believe in, bad move. Not saying that you should need to keep all these prospects, but like be smart about how you trade them.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what's going to be available in terms of this. I have to do more homework on it. Like, we know pretty much the rental guys that are going to be available, but if you do make a trade, then maybe go after someone that has some years of control where it's more of a long-term plan. Or, maybe try the old just shake up where you're like, hey, we'll give you an MLB player for an MLB player. It's not really a all-in buy move or a sell-off move. It's more of a shake-up.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Sort of how we got Michael Bush.
Yeah. I mean, kind of along those lines, sure. The idea that you're getting a young controlled piece. So, you know, that's right now, I think, a place where a lot of people would like to look. Um, and just going back to like where the Cubs are position wise in the wild card, when you look at the standings and the games back, you're like, okay, well, they're still right in it. Here's kind of a hurdle though with how you've played. You don't have the tiebreaker against like virtually all the teams ahead of you. Right now, the Mets just took the tiebreaker from you with that loss on Sunday night.
Yep.
The Reds have the season advantage. The Pirates have the season advantage. The Cardinals have the season advantage. The Brewers have the season advantage, but they're not. The Cubs have, in my view, no chance to win the division right now. That's over. I'm not even looking at that. Um, you have it over the Giants for now, but you have a 4-game series against them. So, um, if you at least split, you'll have that. But if you don't, then that's gone. So not only do you have to leapfrog teams, but you can't tie with anybody. And if you remember, who had the tiebreakers last year against the Cubs? The Marlins and the Diamondbacks. Who got those last 2 wild card spots? Sean?
Marlins and the Diamondbacks.
Exactly.
It matters. Tiebreakers matter.
And you didn't get that tiebreaker against the Marlins because you didn't take yourself seriously the first few months and you were putting Eric Hosmer out in the 5th spot in the lineup. I'm sick of this team and their philosophy. It's bland, it's not exciting, it's not reaching for the stars. You're just saying be good enough. You know what's good enough in this city? Going for a championship. When have you heard Jed Hoyer talking about winning a World Series? We've talked about competitiveness, postseason appearances, but where the fuck has been we want to win a World Series? Where is that? I could.
Fair question.
He might have said it. I don't know, but I certainly don't remember it. I sure as hell remember Theo saying it.
I mean, you have a fair point.
It's like I think the Cubs want to be good, but do they want to be great? That's the question. You want to be good, okay, but do you want to be great? That's what I'd like to know. And
That's
it just
good question.
It's one thing if you're like the Ryan Poles Bears, where while we've been frustrated, we see the vision. Like, you traded that first pick for a reason. You cleaned house for a reason. You built up for a reason. You drafted Caleb Williams. You stayed course to try to get Roma Dunze and you got him. And you hear what we've wanted to hear from the Bears for a long time is kind of going after that championship grasp. But with this Cub team, the closest that I thought we were going to see the major thing was the hiring of Craig Counsell. When they made that move, I thought, wow, maybe this is the launch pad where things go. And then after that you didn't really do much. Like, you made the Michael Busch trade. That was good. You made the Shota signing. That was good. But that was it. You ran everything back. And yes, you got Cody Bellinger to resign, but that wasn't an addition. That was retaining something. That's not adding. It's retention.
Can I say something else about the Shota signing?
Yes.
Is that was a signing that turned out to be good. They didn't go out there and to sign a superstar. They went out there and signed a guy, and we all had a lot of question marks about him, and he's turned out to be pretty darn good.
Right. I mean, and obviously we've said it a million times. We'll say it again. We're not going to hold Yamamoto or Ohtani over their heads because that just wasn't happening. We know. There are other moves you look out there. The other one I won't hold against them too hard is, what was it, Tyler Glass now? Because he's always hurt. He's so good, but he's always hurt. So I understand not wanting to trade assets for him, but, Could have been bold with Juan Soto. You didn't do it. Last night, I said to my dad, I was with my dad at the game, who's one of the best hitters in the Mets lineup right now? Two of them. Pete Alonso, which would have required a trade, but there's another one. You know who I'm thinking about?
Lindor?
No. He was a free agent, veteran
Nimmo?
slugger. No.
Oh, God, what's his name?
JD Martinez.
Yes.
He was right there. A DH that could hit for power and produce. He was right there. And you had no interest. Wouldn't have cost you much. It was the same thing I said the year before when they had a hodgepodge of Nick Madrigal and whatever going into 2023, and you could have just signed Justin Turner, who put up numbers for the Red Sox. He was right there. Very affordable, short term, right fucking there. Nah. Hey, how about this bullpen? Remember how it fell apart towards the end of the year because it was gassed? Well, it'll be fine this time around. We'll sign Hector Neris. Okay, great. You signed Hector Neris. Hey, how about another back-end guy like a David Robertson or a Kenley Jensen? How about we bulletproof this lineup so we don't have any issues with the bullpen? Nah, we traded for Jose Cuas. We feel pretty good about that.
Jose Cuas.
Oh, and by the way, Mark Leiter Jr. is hurt now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just so frustrating. And every time you're like, okay, they put a nice win. Like, okay, maybe this is the turning point. Nope.
Dud. Ends with a dud every time.
Yep. And within game, it's a dud. And then if they win the game, then you're like, okay, they're gonna come out tomorrow and build off of that. Nope.
Dud.
Lay an egg. Win one, lose one. They're like the epitome of a 500 team. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose one.
Yeah. A lot of mediocrity.
It's just so stupid, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. This is a major market team. You shouldn't be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the Cardinals are back to being the Devilbirds. They looked down and out the first month, and now they're on fire. They've slithered their way back.
I hate that team so much. Hate them.
Yep. They're good again. They have no business being good again, but they're good again. You knew they weren't going to be down and out for long. The laws of physics weren't going to allow that.
It's just what happens.
It's come full circle. We're in year 4 of this regime. And if we don't make the postseason, that's 4 years with no postseason ball.
And is Jed going to have to answer for that?
See,
no. Nope.
He's got 1 more year on his deal next year.
They'll re-up it.
And that's what I'm scared of. They're going to give him a 3-year extension. They'll finish with 79 wins. Well, we had some injuries and some, subpar performances. But, if we sign Luke Maile or something and everything goes right, we can get back into this because we got a good farm system. Okay, 3-year extension. I can see it now. Because frankly, and I've been pretty pro Jed, but if it's year 4 and you miss the postseason, I don't know how you can keep this around. Whether the ratio of his fault is 60%, 70%, 80%, whatever it is. 4 years and no postseason. Theo Epstein took over the Cubs with a hell lot worse. Not only like roster and farm system personnel wise, but everything about that franchise was in the Stone Age. From the ballpark to the facilities to the analytics. I mean, you were using probably, you know, Windows 95, and you had the dumpiest, smallest, cramped, you know, maggot infested facilities in the majors. And Theo Epstein completely rebuilt an entire organization within what, 3 years from the ground up?
Yeah, I mean, built facilities, changed the philosophy of the organization from the lovable losers to a team that competed. And sure, he didn't do like it didn't the on-field results weren't what we'd hoped when we saw the glimpses, but we got a World Series and got us back to being a respectable team. And um, you know, it, despite making some bad choices and bad decisions and some bad signings, we got the World Series and we were a very good team for several years.
Yep. And now we're just praying we can be 500.
So it's just really frustrating situation.
Yep. That's my Cubs rant for the week.
Should we talk about the White Sox?
Yeah, I have one major question for the White Sox.
Aren't they bringing up the rest of the young pitchers?
Well, that and why the hell are you playing Eloy when he can't even walk? Did you see that
Yeah,
yesterday?
yeah, that was no bueno.
And how they're like, well, we didn't know because we couldn't see him go from first to third yet. Like you didn't simulate that. You didn't in rehab or in pregame warmups. You didn't say, hey, let's see if you can go from first to third on a quote double. You really didn't do that.
Yeah, it was.
And you see him every time he takes a step wincing and making a face. Oh, he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know why they're doing it. They're hoping they can get him on the field
Trade
to
value.
get some trade value.
Yeah. You're not getting anything for that right now.
I think that's their hope, though.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. But it's a Jerry Reinsdorf team and it's run by delusion. So, frankly, I think you're doing more harm than good by doing that. And I mean, the talent isn't the issue. It's he's always hurt. Like, it literally looks like he's got the way he moves. It looks like he's got the body of like a 55-year-old trying to play beer league softball.
Yeah,
It's brutal.
it's pretty brutal. Um, so I don't know what the hell they're doing and why, but I mean it's got to be the whole let's um let's you know try to get some trade value and try to trade him, knowing that's very unlikely, but um that's got to be the reason. There's no other reason. It's not like you're in this or something.
No, no.
But um Drew Thorpe looked good.
Yeah, after having a really, really bad start, he rebounded, had a nice start against the Tigers, and that's what you want to see. See how he bounces back from a rough spot because that's where the learning experience comes in.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it is. Um, you know, uh, it's you're gonna have ups and downs as a young player. And Gary called me the other day and was like, you know, oh, you're doubting Drew Thorpe and think he's. I'm like, no, not at all. I'm just saying is the fear. The fear is that you know I guess the hope had been that you had a Paul Skeens where he's just going to come out and pretty much dominate.
Well, he ain't
And
that type of pitcher.
and you have Drew Thorpe, and he comes out with that first game and looks really good, and then that second game looks very, very not good, and it suddenly the any hope you had, you put all into this basket because there's no other basket. It's literally the only basket. There's no other basket to put hope in with this team. And and so what do? You put your hope in this basket, and then when he has a rough game, you start questioning everything. And you're like, oh God, is this going to be another flash in the pan? But you got to remember, he's a young pitcher. And you got to give him time. He's going to have he's going to have ups and downs. He's going to have you know growing pains, and you got to live with that.
Yeah, like you would many young pitchers. On both sides of town, there are plenty of young pitchers where it's like, you got Drew Thorpe, you got Ben Brown, you'll soon have Cade Horton. Those are the types of guys where you kind of ride the good and the bad and you see how they learn from it.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. And it's just the way of baseball. There's not very many guys that you suddenly just come into the majors and dominate from the jump. It doesn't happen very often.
No.
So, that's a thing with the White Sox that you just have to live with. And they should be bringing up more of their young pitchers. And I think we'll see that once they flip, everybody that's not nailed down at the trade deadline.
Right.
So hopefully we get to see that. And see how these players or these young kids play, because honestly, the hope would be you part ways with your stupid coach.
Which, according to reports, doesn't sound like it's going to happen in season, which isn't surprising.
Which is dumb, though.
It's dumb, but it's not surprising.
At the trade deadline, you should have new coach and a whole bunch of new players, young players, and don't let them learn from the shitty philosophy, the shitty, ethos that you have in that clubhouse. Start fresh. Have somebody in there that's going to change the culture that you have in there, and have these young kids come in a good culture. You're already hindered by your stupid owner and his terrible general manager who's, just a yes man. But, do the best he can to put something on the field that's a winner.
You know what's going to happen, right? If by some reason Pedro Grifol was fired before the trade deadline, you want me to explain how this would play out?
Yes.
Let's say you got this shocking discovery that Pedro Grifol was gone. So everyone's like, okay, who's the new manager? You pan over in the dugout and you hear snoring. It's Tony La Russa in uniform.
He's coming back to save the day.
What? Oh, baseball. Yeah. Tony La Russa is still very involved with the team, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So I mean, that team is bad, but at least you know what, the you've got the Dodgers in town.
Yeah.
So you get to see a good baseball team.
Shohei Ohtani in town.
Who is clobbering the ball. I mean,
Yeah.
it's he hasn't had a slump really this season, but he's just extra on fire right now.
Yeah, it's like it's merciless.
He's so good.
Envious.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the standings. So 266. We'll do our weekly. What are the so the White Sox are on pace to win 43 games. 43 games. So 43 and 119. So they're gaining on that pace. They're 4-6 in their last 10. It's not good, but that's a whole lot better than they're 13 and 25 at home, but 8 and 33 on the road. Which is not good. That's a bad record. It's just you got to find things. You got to find something here.
You know what's funny is it just hit commercial break in game 7, so I flipped over the White Sox. Freddie Freeman's at bat, and they showed his slash line. He's hitting like 300, 400, 500. And it's like, wow. Nobody in Chicago is even close to that.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman is good.
He's stupid good.
Did you ever see the picture of he was taking his kid trick-or-treating, and he came across a little kid that was dressed as Freddie Freeman for Halloween?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
That was adorable.
Could you imagine if one of our teams had Freddie Freeman in the city?
Imagine if we had Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, and Mookie Betts.
Sounds pretty good to me. And Freddie Freeman is now 2 for 2 off Garrett Crochet. He's 2 for 2 off one of the hardest lefties to hit. That's how good he is.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani is slashing 322, 399, 632 with a 1.03 OPS.
Oh, is that all?
So I don't know, man. What are you gonna do?
But wait, there's more good Chicago sports news.
Oh, we gonna talk about the Bulls?
Yeah.
All right. So we shit all over baseball. Let's talk about the Bulls. So they trade arguably the best trade piece we have in Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey.
No additional picks.
No additional picks.
From a team that has an insane number of picks.
Yes. And you can't get an extra pick. And I get Josh Giddey is young, but you're giving, like, there is no GM in basketball that would have said no to that trade getting Alex Caruso. None. But
no,
the other way around, you're going to have a lot of GMs that are like, nah.
And look, Alex Caruso is an older player. He's not old, but he's obviously older than Josh Giddey. And he does have health issues. And, you wonder if this is the first in many steps of the Bulls going through their next transition phase for the 10 billionth time. If you're trying to stack more younger assets, get younger. That's where this is yet to be seen. I think that this is where they're going. I think we're going to see many more moves, but I understand that this upcoming draft class is pretty bad. It's not good. So the value of picks isn't quite what it once was in other drafts, but still get picks because whether or not you use them in the draft or as other trade assets to get other things, it's valuable to get picks in return. And the fact that you got a guy, he's only 21 still. I think he was the 6th overall pick in the draft a few years ago. There's a lot of upside. He needs to score more. He needs to score better. And Lord knows the Bulls need more scoring. And he was kind of log jammed in OKC because they got abundance of young talent and a more of abundance of picks. But like, even if this trade works out okay for the Bulls where Josh Giddey gets you something decent, like, it's like, okay, you got a young player. It would have been nice to get a little more in draft. Even if you just throw in another pick in there, I think it would have been better. Um, Obviously, there's the other baggage that comes with it. That's kind of a whole other aspect of this. But in terms of basketball, it's so meh to me. It's just a meh trade.
It's you got a guy. So first of all, what has the NBA become? 3-point shooting league, right?
Yes.
How does Josh Giddey shoot threes?
Not very good.
He is at best mediocre.
Yeah.
So you traded for a guy that's at best mediocre. And you have a guy that has the same skill sets as like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, but he's a point guard. But your two best young players are both guards. So like, how does he fit into this? I don't understand. What is the vision? What is the vision here?
Right now, it feels like the vision is just get younger. Just get younger. But, again, what other moves are they going to make here? I don't know if anyone's going to be ponying up for Zach LaVine because we saw teams offering more enticing returns for Alex Caruso, and the Bulls, whether mandated by ownership or by AK, have said no. I believe that in addition to the whole trade for multiple picks last year that ownership turned down, what was the team they were trading to? I can't remember. But they offered multiple first round picks for Caruso. Ownership said no. I don't remember what team it was
I don't remember either.
that offered.
Yeah. But it was, you've got to have a vision. And I know that they didn't trade Caruso because they had a mandate to make the playoffs, which it's so dumb. But you've got to have a vision, and I don't understand what the vision is for this team. Wait, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish?
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I think that's the thing is maybe we'll see something on draft night. Maybe they maybe they make a trade and we start to see the vision of what they're trying to do. But
right.
It's what we have right now is a hodgepodge team, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And I think it's so frustratingly bad that like the way that they're building this team.
Yeah. This is where true apathy sits in. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, so it's just shitty. But we have the draft coming up. Um, it's so at least the Bulls have a pick. Um, but I don't know what's going to happen here. I have no idea. Um, you know, it's there's this is a this is kind of a weak draft, and you have a team that we have no idea because there's huge pressure from the owner to do stuff, and a GM slash president of basketball operations that we don't know what their vision or their plan is. It's it's essentially going to be just a crapshoot. I don't think anybody's going to accurately predict what what the Bulls are going to do.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Um, so we're we're what, like 2 days away from the draft?
It's Wednesday night, right?
I believe so. Yeah, 20. Yeah, Wednesday night. So we'll next time we have a show, maybe, um,
Yeah, maybe
maybe,
we'll something else will happen big.
yeah. So and then we'll have something to talk about at least. We'll
Yeah.
have at least one new player somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Blackhawks. Would quickly say the draft is this Friday. Um, I've been hearing rumors about the Blackhawks trying to make a big trade, potentially with Winnipeg, um, where they would trade the number 18 pick, Lucas Reichel, and somebody else for some players. Um, I don't know how accurate that is.
There's definitely some smoke out there involving the Blackhawks on a number of things.
Yeah, I can't. That trade to number 18 wasn't in a vacuum. Uh, it just like I don't believe that that happens in a vacuum. They made that trade for a reason. And whether it's they think there's only 18 players that are worthy in this draft, um, maybe that they feel like that's a pick that's going to be able to get them more in a trade. Uh,
Yeah, it could very well be. I don't know.
I don't know, but their draft is Friday, Friday and Saturday. So, um, yeah, I don't really have much to say other than, uh, that's I'm still going. I'm still going with they're going to draft Lev Shinnoff, the defenseman from Michigan State. I think that's the I think that's the pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing more Demidov smoke recently, but I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, Lev Shinnoff has an opportunity to play next year.
And
Otherwise,
you do, yeah, you do need to, get going.
and um, so I don't know. I just it's it's a it's one of those tough situations. I think there's too many questions about a Russian player that, especially what's going on in this world, you can't have like good access to him, and uh, you're
It's more
relying.
complicated, yes.
It's complicated to bring him over with the contract situation with the KHL. It's complicated with getting access to be able to see him. I know he's in town, or he was in town. I think he still might be in town. But you know, it's actually seeing him play live is, um, you know, it's been non-existent. And so I I think that the opportunity to get a number one style defenseman who is a known commodity is here. You you've seen him play live. Um, I think it's too much risk versus not enough benefit.
No, I get what you're saying. I do.
So I mean that's my um, that's my take on the sitch.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'll be curious to see how this all plays out.
Um, so I didn't have anything for the Bears until just recently that I wanted to bring up. And I don't know if you've heard the news yet, but apparently Arlington Heights is back
Uh-huh.
on for the Bears as the Bears turn. it's it's so dumb. Like I told you it was a smokescreen. There was no way. There was, you know, that whole plan came to fruition so quickly with the city. I just, I wasn't buying it.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if the agenda was okay, to really get Arlington Heights back, we got to make ourselves look like the biggest jackasses possible.
I just picture the, you know, uh, Kevin Warren, just like a rabid dog. Got to build a stadium. Just walking around yelling at everybody. Got to build a stadium. Where? It doesn't matter. Shovels in the ground, cranes in the air.
Hey, and you know that he woke up at 4 in the morning, worked out, and planned all that, and then stopped in front of the Hella statue to take a look real quick.
I just everything about this is is so amateur.
It
Like
really is. It's silly.
I'm just ready for this to just stop being a thing and and football to be here.
Yeah, I get the plans finalized, get the shovels in the ground, and then we can all be done with it, and we don't have to see any more stupid renderings.
Yeah, just give me give me football. I'm tired of the renderings. I'm tired of the plans. I'm tired of you know all the shenanigans. Is at this point I don't give a shit where they build the stadium.
Just get it done.
Just build a cool stadium. That's all I want is a cool stadium. And I don't know if what they're actually going to give us.
Well, hopefully this stadium in Arlington Heights is everything that we wanted it to be if it ends up going there, where you get the stadium, you get the entertainment district and the casinos on that massive parcel of land. Um, that's the idea. That's the hope that I have. And they own the land, which they did not own the land on the lakefront. The Friends of the Park did not like it. And everyone asks, where the hell do you park in those renderings? So hopefully a stadium with lots of parking.
That's yeah. There's so many pros and cons to both places. I don't care as long as they sat down and listened to the fans and said, "All right, we have addressed all of the uh all of the concerns. For those that take the train, like, all right, we have worked with Metra to to run more trains on that day or whatever. There's uh, there you have to have a plan for all of the concerns, the valid concerns people have, whether it was on the lakefront, the valid concerns of where you're parking. What if you don't get the money to improve the infrastructure? How are you handling the traffic? Um, you know, how long is this going to take? How are you going to be able to play like this? And, versus Arlington Heights, where, obviously you don't have to worry about shuffle building where you have to, you know, uh, tear down one thing and then build another thing, then, in piecemeal. You have so much land, you can do it all one shot. But you still have the infrastructure issue over there. You have the public transit issue um, that's an issue. Uh, you you've got issues that you need to figure out, and no matter where you go, it has to be well thought out and not just it's going to cost us more if we wait and let's just get a shovel in the ground wherever we can get it the fastest. And that's what I feel like they're doing.
Kevin Warren in his office has had his ceremonial shovel just sitting there like, damn it, I want to use it already.
Give me shovel or give me death.
Said the janitor, oh God, he says that every day he's in here.
He just won't stop saying it.
Oh, Kevin Warren, get this shit done already.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
There was one note I wanted to make, and I'm sad I didn't see the game, but really big win for the Chicago Sky on Sunday afternoon against Indiana at home. And uh, the way we saw Angel Reese burst out, that's got to feel really good for her and the team. And the vibes were really high after that win. I don't know if you saw any of it.
I saw highlights of it. And honestly, Angel Reese might win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, she's on pace to be a favorite the way she's playing, and I feel like it's not getting the attention it deserves. It's been pretty fun to watch her kind of blossom, and that game against the Fever might kind of be that true breakout where like she's truly arrived in this league among professionals. I mean, that was a gutsy come from behind win, and just it really pumped up the Chicago fan base because they lost two heartbreakers to the Fever in Indiana. So it was kind of nice to return the favor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Um, and it's, and there was so many controversies the previous games about hard fouls and whatnot. It was nice. It was nice to see, uh, you know, Angel Reese pull it together and play a good game and get the Sky a win. And I think this is going to end up being a really good rivalry for this league.
I think so too. I mean, this is the rivalry that everyone's talking about. And people can huff and puff about, oh, I don't like Angel Reese, blah, 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 blah. Caitlin Clark's a victim. But hey, this is what's getting the sport the most attention. They're not even the two best teams in the league. And yet, so much of the national women's basketball news has been centered around Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and especially when they play each other.
Yeah. Yep. And uh, I, it's good for the sport, and it's good for these two franchises that have really struggled. And it's a close state rivalry like Indiana, Illinois. I love it, and I hope this lasts for a long time.
Yeah, bring back the intensity that you had with the Bulls and the Pacers in the late 90s.
So good on Angel Reese, and I hope she does keep playing like this because she's going to be a superstar in this league.
Yeah, real looking good.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I've said my piece, and we've one of our shorter shows, but we've said a lot. So
You've said a lot, and without the Bears doing anything, boy, does it the show go by fast.
I know, truly.
But we'll have more soon because training camp is starting in a couple weeks, and tickets are free for training camp, but they go on sale quote July 1st. So I will be trying to attend, and this should be an awesome time.
For sure.
That's going to do it for this episode of Bill's Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down